Hey guys, here's our new project for Mom. Our old Ferguson clutch went down, and we tried buying a clutch and it didn't fit right, and we finally ended up ordering one with a clutch manufacturer that would just replace the discs for us. But in the process, we had all summer that we didn't get the field bush hogged, and we had grading to do and all kinds of playing around needed to be done with the tractor. So like usual, we're always on LSN and Craigslist, the local sales network, hunting for deals. And I've been looking for one of these little diesel tractors that's air cooled for a long time. A lot of people have different opinions on them. This is actually a Sedina, which I've never heard of before, but it's a Mexican-made Belarus. It's made with all, or most all, Belarus parts, and it's pretty much the same thing as a Belarus 250. It's a Sedina 310, I guess is the model number. But if you look close, you can even see that the blue color, they've actually just taken the red Belarus parts and just painted them all blue. But we got online and found this for pretty good price, and the guy, we weren't able to line up with him, and I thought that he'd sold it because it was taken offline. And then about 2 weeks later, he called me up and said, "Hey, I've lost everybody's number except yours if you're still interested in looking at the tractor." And it was about an hour and a half away, but I told him that we'd come up and look at it, and we went up and looked at it and got it. Actually, we got it started, and it started and ran really nice for a little old tractor. It's a 1984 model, but it's had some aftermarket work done on the steering here. I don't know if that's even an original steering box, but that's definitely not the correct mounts. But if anybody's ever messed with one of these things, they're really goofy on the shifting. And the guy that owned it didn't really know anything about it, so he didn't know if it would work or not. The clutch wasn't working, and we got it to where it'd move in reverse by jerking it in gear, cranking the throttle down real low and then popping it in gear, and it moved in reverse and then it moved forward. But we ended up trading him, and we got not very much at all in it. We made a little trade and added 175 bucks to boot, and brought it home, and it had a flat tire here. We put a tube in it. I think that was about 12 bucks or 15 bucks. But we brought it home, and the boys started cleaning it up and greasing it, servicing it. And I thought, we saw the hour gauge. It said, I don't know if you can see that or not, 756 hours. And it had 752 hours on it when we bought it. And I thought, there's no way the 1984 model tractor's only got less than 800 hours on it. But after we got it up and running, and we ran it around for the first week or so. Oh yeah, it has no brakes yet at this point, but that's our next step after we get a couple things fixed. But we ran around just throttling it down and popping it in and out of gear. And after a week or so, we got down here looking, popped this little dude open right here, and one of the forks inside there that pushes the throwout bearing in and out for the clutch, the adjuster had actually backed off. So I reached in there with my Leatherman, tightened it up, and now we got a clutch. So we've been playing with it, and we've got most of the shifting figured out on it. It's a little different than the Belarus. The Belarus actually has a shifter that comes up right in the front here, and I'm not sure if that's forward and reverse or high and low, but on this one you can shift it one way or the other in the front. It's a T. It's actually kind of like an H pattern, and on the bottom it shifts forward and reverse, and then on the top it shifts high and low gears, and then you've got like 6 gears you can shift down through on on most of them. They don't all work in the high gears, or in the reverse. There's some of them that skip. But anyhow, really nice. It runs like a dream. I like the air-cooled diesel because I told my boys that that's one less thing to worry about with a cooling system. But one guy on YouTube has the Belarus 250, and he said with an 18-acre farm he runs through about 3 tanks of fuel in a year. So that's pretty awesome. We've got a friend that has a Deutz tractor, and we've borrowed it. We plowed the field up last year with it, or tilled the garden, and it does extremely well on fuel. So we're excited about trying it out. Dad actually got it out and started bush hogging and didn't realize it, but it has this is the hydraulic pump that mounts right on here, and it has an engager because these things are made to run in Russia and extreme cold temperatures. But you can engage the hydraulic pump. So if it's really cold and your hydraulic fluid is stiff, you can disengage it, start the tractor up, and then re-engage it once the tractor gets up to operating temperature. But anyhow, ran it for several hours, and these bearings fell apart on us. So we're working on getting that rebuilt. This thing right here slides in and out to engage the gear. Like little teeth on that hydraulic pump goes in there. But so far these things are pretty cheap on the internet. And the parts, I bought the 2 bearings and the 4 little ball bearings that lock inside of there, and a manual, and I think we paid like 70 bucks for it. The bands for the brakes we're going to order as soon as payday comes in. We're going to order 2 bands. They're like 30 bucks a piece, or 35. But one thing that's neat on these tractors is they actually have a down thrust. So you can, it's got 4 positions on the hydraulics, and you can do up or down, or float, or actually adding pressure to, it's good for putting a plow in the ground or whatnot. And in reading the manual, I've discovered that you can raise or lower. There's 3 positions on the rear end and 3 positions on the back end where you can raise or lower it to get more or less ground clearance. Gotta add some lights to it, and the seat was shot, but all in all, not too bad. I'm hoping to get pretty good use out of it. We love the diesels. They run forever and they run tough. A lot of people on the internet, I looked up a lot of reviews before we looked into this thing. A lot of people have bad reviews. The parts are kind of junky, punky. They don't, you can see they don't have the quality that American made stuff has by any means. They don't clean up their cast lines. If they've got a cast line where they cast parts, the cast lines look rough and jagged and terrible. But it's just a rough old tractor. But a lot of people online say that they like them because they're made for a cheap farmer that's way out in the middle of nowhere to work on with just a handful of tools and not a whole ton of machining knowledge. So we like that idea. The boys love it. They love anything diesel lately. There's you can raise and lower. There's a bracket right there, and you've got 3 positions here where you can raise and lower it. So we'll probably drop this thing down eventually when we figure out how to do it. We'll drop it down as low as possible just to get it. We don't do any crops or anything really right now. We don't need a bunch of ground clearance, and need our center of gravity as low as can be. But anyhow, like and subscribe if you got any comments on how to shift a Sedina tractor. I think I've got it pretty much figured out, but take any tips anybody's got on it. The boys have gone through and topped the fluids off and checked everything. Well, let's see, that's the engager for the PTO on the back. I'll get a little bit lever better lever on there. This is the lock the rear end together, brake, emergency brake. This is your hydraulics. That's about it. But like our channel, subscribe, give us some comments, compliments, discouragements, whatever you got for us, and have a good day.